And welcome back to Chicago Bulls Insider. Today, we're talking about NBA draft prospect Joan Beringer and how he might be the sleeper pick the Chicago Bulls would want to consider in this upcoming draft. And so before we go ahead and we jump into it, I first want to remind you to slam dunk on that subscribe button, just like Modest Buzelis slam dunks in games. And so in exchange for slamming on that subscribe button, I'm going to give you nothing but daily content around the Chicago Bulls. So make sure that you hit that like, you hit that subscribe, and you join the Chicago Bulls Insider family as we talk nothing but Chicago Bulls basketball. And so with that being said, let's go ahead and let's jump into it as we are talking about NBA draft prospect here, Joan Beringer out of France. And so if you're not familiar with him, he is 6'11", 230. He's 18 years old. And I must say that, look, when you look at the highlight clips, you see a player that has a ton of upside. But when you look at the numbers, it's not anything that's going to wow you there. But let's start with the numbers and what he was able to do. He did play in France here this last season. And so he had 9.2 points per game. He had 2.9 blocks per game, 8.1 rebounds a game, shot 60% from the free throw line, 59% from the field. And you see that he had 6.6 field goals attempted. And so that is a very important point, which we're going to talk about that here in a moment. So let's go ahead and let's jump into the things that Beringer does well. And so the first thing that really jumps out at me when you look at the highlights is that this guy moves like a guard. To be 6'11", 230, he absolutely moves like a guard. And so you love that about a big man that is that fluent. And when you're talking, just that type of fluent movement, here's a player that can possibly guard maybe a 1-5 in that type of situation. If he gets switched on anybody, I think that he's going to be fine. If he has to go outside and pick up a mobile center, I think he's going to be fine too as well if he gets matched up on a center. Now, I know it's going to be the NBA level. That's going to be another story. We're going to talk about that. But initially, when you're looking at the upside, you see a guy that can move like a guard. And so being fluent at the center position, I think that you can also really create some real mismatches on the offensive end. And so next, here's a player that plays with power, okay? And so when you're talking about you want a player that's going to be aggressive and attack the basket and things like that, that is exactly what you are going to get with Joan Beringer. You are getting a guy that is absolutely looking to tear the rim off of the backboard. I think that he literally looks to dunk the ball. I'm not sure if he even knows how to lay it up. I'm just kidding. But seriously, he is looking to dunk the ball. And I love the fact that he is coming to the rim with authority. And I just think that, look, as he gets stronger, that is certainly going to be tough to stop with just that much power coming downhill. And you're talking about the speed that he can move with. And so next, look, a lob threat. And so when you're talking about a player that is coming down on transition and can catch like a skying lob, like he is definitely that type of guy, going back to the days of Lob City with Blake Griffin and DeAndre Jordan. He absolutely fits that mold there. Like, I think that they would love to have had Joan Beringer. I think that he's that type of player, and I could absolutely see him being in the offense with Josh Giddey on the break and then Coby White. Like, you could see this guy finishing a lot of stuff if he ended up there with Chicago. And so next, look, I love the youth with him at 18 years old. I mean, you have a ton of upside with that. And so you really have to think about that as a GM. And to talk about that youth, he started playing basketball 3 years before this. And so he is very raw. And so I think that you love that you're seeing this type of flashes, this type of basketball IQ, this type of feel for the game. And he's really not played that way. And so I think that is another added bonus with him. And so next, when you look at the playmaking ability for him, this is a guy that I think he is going to be able to understand like where the double teams are coming from and things like that. Like, I did like that with his highlights. It's not anything that's flashy or anything like that. But when he gets the rebound, he's not just going to throw the ball at the rim. Like, if he senses the double team, he will kick out and he will find an open shooter. I thought he definitely showed the ability to, like, if he's rolling on the baseline and then, the defense collapses, he will find you that way as well. And so I like the basic playmaking ability. I think that that's something that he could get better at. But then again, if you're playing center, look, you're not asking your center to go out there and lead you in assists. You just want him to make the basic reads and things like that. He shows that he has that type of feel for the game, that he will do that. And so next, his defense. I love his defense. His defense was probably like the calling card for me. And so, look, you see that with the stats that we went over, 2.9 blocks. And again, I know, he's playing, in a league over there in France, but still, I mean, with the way that he blocked the shots, I absolutely loved it, because his quickness and just the lateral quickness that he has, I thought that that was outstanding. And I like the fact that at times he can really be patient too. Like some of the block shots and things like that, it just wasn't like, okay, they're coming at him and then he just got the block shots. Like there were times where he would have to be sitting down on defense, a series of moves would happen. He'd still be patient, sit down, wait, and then he would get the block shot without fouling. Like I like that about him. And then defensively, his motor, like you could definitely tell that even if he doesn't get the block shot, with the way that he sits down on defense, the way that, he just has the type of, how can I say it, positioning and stuff like that. Like, I like that. I didn't think he was in position all the time, but he definitely shows so much upside on the defense that you can see that he could seriously be a problem on the defensive end. As far as offenses trying to attack him, he could definitely be a guy that's a last line type of defense for you. And he's the type of guy that will come up there and he will get up on those screens and stuff like that and press a guard. Like I think about back in the finals when the Cavs beat the Golden State Warriors, Tristan Thompson was able to switch out there and kind of give Steph Curry those problems and those issues out there. Like I could see that you could see that type of lateral quickness with him. And then next with him, the one thing that I love too is just that it's not that he gets overpowered necessarily. Like I think that he has a good base, and so I want to throw that out there with his defense. I think he has a good base, excuse me. But that'll lead me to the next situation with him, and when we look at the weaknesses and things like that. And so, as good as he is defensively, he's going to have to certainly get stronger, because when he goes into the NBA, these players are certainly going to be stronger. Like especially if it's a Jalen Brunson or somebody like that, we see that now. Jalen Brunson being able to, just maneuver, push people out the way, get the foul, and still get the bucket. So he's certainly going to have to get a lot stronger there. I think the next thing too, when he's fighting over screens and stuff, that's where you want to see some strength. And I think offensively for him, he's to the point where he literally, like I said, and I was joking, he's not a guy that's going to lay it up. He's going for the dunk. He doesn't have anything else. Like he has a game that is just straight geared for attacking the rim. He doesn't have a face-up game. He's not going to be a floor spacer. He doesn't have very good shot mechanics as well. So if you look at the jump shot that he does hit, or jump shots that he does hit, it's not a fluent mechanic. I mean, it's not necessarily broke, but you can definitely tell it needs some work there, and it would definitely need some confidence to go along with that. And so that is another point there as far as things that he would have to get better at. He would have to get the strength. He needs to get some more added things to his offense as well. That way, if, teams crowd the paint and stuff like that and take him away that way, there's other things that he could possibly do. Not saying he has to shoot the three ball, be nice, but at least a nice little face-up mid-range or something like that. And so next with him, again, I just think that what you're looking at is just the guy that you're banking on his upside a lot here. And so, if you're taking him, is he going to be an impact from an energy and a motor type of guy? It's a possibility that you're going to see that immediately when he gets here. But I would say that, man, you're really banking on some upside. And so right now, the Ringer has him at 23. The Bulls, remember, are at pick number 12. And so if the Bulls were to get him, I certainly think it would be something where they would have to trade back into the first round. Maybe it would be an early second rounder, but this guy has a ton of upside. I want to put that point out there again. Ton of upside for what he can do. And I think immediately the defense would translate with the motor and the effort. And I think the dunks and stuff would come along as well. And so we look at player comparison here, going off what the Ringer has got him down for. So Daniel Gafford, I could see a bit of that with Daniel Gafford and being a guy that look doesn't necessarily have a thing that he goes to on the offensive end. We know that this guy is going to try to punish the rim, that type of attitude. I just talked about that with Beringer. The next player he reminds me of is actually Gafford and his teammate here, and that's going to be Derek Lively. I see a lot of the Derek Lively there, and I also see the same type of build too, not necessarily bulky players. And I think that if he gets strong like that, you could see him being like a Derek Lively type of player. Absolutely, he could translate into a double-double machine, absolute lob threat. And again, you can just imagine the type of terror coming down at your defense. If you have Giddey, you have these guys coming downhill, and then you have the lob threat like that roaming the baseline, like it's absolutely over with what he would do to a defense there. And then next, I think he reminds me a lot of a Jackson Hayes. I'll give him that comparison as well, excuse me, same type of body build. I can see that. And then another comparison that I saw here for him, and this was on the Yahoo profile for them, was Clint Capella. Like I could definitely see a bit of the Clint Capella. I think Clint Capella, he has a little bit more mass there. I think he has a little bit more of a turnaround type of game, even though it's not much. But that would even be nice too with Beringer as well, if he could get like a little hook shot or something like that. But anyway, you guys let me know in the comments here. What do you guys think about Johan Beringer? Do you think that the Chicago Bulls would be wise to go ahead, pick 12, and then go back and try to get back into the first round for a real sleeper here at the center? Do you think that this is an absolute pass for you? I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. And as we always say, look, go Bulls, and I will see you guys on the next one. All right, peace.